Elena knelt beside him, brushing a strand of dark hair from his forehead. Her hands, once skilled at drafting elegant curves on architectural blueprints, now bore the faint calluses of grocery bags, laundry, and sleepless nights. She smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. "Thank you, my love," she whispered, her voice thick with a tenderness that masked the ache beneath. Just 18 months ago, she'd stood in a penthouse overlooking the same city. Marble floors, floor-to-ceiling windows, a life polished to a mirror shine. Back then, she'd believed in forever. Believed in Damien Voss, the man who'd kissed her knuckles after late-night study sessions in architecture school, who'd promised, eyes blazing with ambition and love, "You'll design the skyline, and I'll build it with you." But ambition, she'd learned, has a hunger that love can't always satisfy. She remembered the night it ended, not with shouting, but with silence. Damien had come home late, his cufflinks gleaming, cologne sharp with notes she didn't recognize. "Elena," he'd said, not meeting her gaze, "I can't do this anymore. You've changed. Or maybe I have. But this life, it's suffocating me." She'd stood frozen in the doorway of their bedroom, Leo asleep down the hall. "Suffocating?" she'd echoed, voice barely audible. "Because I asked you to come to his birthday? Because I wanted you to see him?" He'd sighed, as if she were a problem to be solved, not a wife to be cherished. "You don't understand the pressure I'm under. Isabella. She gets me. Isabella Laurent." The name had slithered into their lives like smoke under a door. First a colleague, then a confidant, then the woman whose perfume lingered on his collar. Elena hadn't begged. She'd packed 2 suitcases that night, clothes for her, toys for Leo, a single framed photo of them at the beach when Leo was 1. She left the diamond necklace he'd given her on the dresser. "Keep it," she'd murmured to the empty room. "It was never mine." Now, in this quiet apartment with peeling paint and a fridge that hummed too loudly, she built a different kind of life. She took freelance drafting jobs under a pseudonym, cleaned houses on weekends, and learned to stretch every dollar. But she never let Leo feel the weight of their fall. To him, Mama was magic. She turned burnt toast into dragon bread, made rainstorms into adventure weather, and sang off-key lullabies that wrapped around his dreams like a blanket. Still, some nights, after tucking him in, she'd stand in the hallway and let the tears come, silent, furious, exhausted tears. Not just for the man she'd lost, but for the father Leo deserved. "Mama!" Leo's voice pulled her back. He held up the lopsided crown, eyes wide with hope. "Do I look like a prince?" Elena cupped his face in her hands, her thumbs brushing his soft cheeks. "You look like my whole world," she said. And this time, her smile was real, fragile, but real. Outside, the rain eased. Somewhere in the city, Damien Voss was preparing for his annual gala, a glittering spectacle of power and philanthropy. He wouldn't think of her tonight, or so she told herself. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. Because tomorrow, a letter would arrive, official, embossed with the Voss Foundation seal, inviting Leo to participate in the gala's Children's Hope Initiative. And though her name wasn't on the invitation, Elena knew. This wasn't kindness. It was theater, and her son was being cast without consent. She looked at Leo, now proudly wearing his cardboard crown, humming a tune she'd taught him. Her heart clenched like a fist. No, she thought, not this time. She wouldn't let them turn her child into a prop in Damien's carefully curated redemption story. If they wanted Leo on that stage, they'd have to face her first. And so, with trembling hands but unshaken resolve, Elena reached for her phone. She dialed the only number she hadn't called in over a year, the event coordinator at the Voss Foundation. "I'll be attending the gala," she said, voice steady despite the storm inside her. As Leo's mother, she hung up before they could argue. That night, as Leo slept, she laid out the only elegant dress she still owned. A deep emerald green, slightly outdated, but dignified. She pressed it carefully as if preparing for battle, because in a way she wasn't going as the discarded wife, not as the woman who'd been erased from his narrative. She was going as Elena Moreau, architect of quiet strength, mother of a prince, and the only person who truly knew what Damien Voss had thrown away. And when he saw her on those grand stairs, holding their child, she wouldn't speak. She wouldn't need to. Her presence alone would be the reckoning. Certo, agora tu como narrador e storyteller disinvolva a historia sem marcacos com o nome de cada topico que for disinvolve. Mi conti sobrio topico tu com dialogo como su fosso espectador. Sempre lembrando de disinvolver com vida moco. Com os sentimentos de forma que a estrutura de narrativa utiliza uma linha temporal linear de modo o espectador sentir o que o personagem está sentindo amigos. Com 6.000 characters when 3 max the city glittered below like a sea of shattered diamonds, and Damien Voss stood at the floor-to-ceiling window of his penthouse, a tumbler of 18-year-old scotch cradled loosely in his hand. His reflection stared back. Impeccable tuxedo, silver cufflinks, jaw set with the quiet confidence of a man who'd conquered everything he'd ever wanted, or so the world believed. Inside, though, something hollow echoed. Damien? Isabella's voice floated from the bedroom, smooth as silk and just as sharp. Are you ready? The car's waiting. He didn't turn. In a minute, she appeared beside him, draped in a gown the color of midnight, diamonds winking at her throat like tiny stars. She slid an arm around his waist, pressing close. You're brooding again, she murmured, lips brushing his ear. Don't let tonight be about the past. It's your night, our night. He forced a smile, but it felt like cracking ice. Of course. Isabella tilted her head, studying him. You're thinking about her, aren't you? The question hung in the air, not accusatory, calculating. She knew how to wield silence like a blade. Damien took a slow sip of scotch, the burn grounding him. I haven't thought about Elena in months. A lie. He thought about her every time Leo's name crossed his desk in legal documents. Every time he passed the old bookstore where they'd shared coffee on rainy Sundays. Every time he woke at 3 a.m., heart pounding, dreaming of a small hand reaching for his that he never took. Isabella's fingers tightened slightly on his arm. Good, because she made her choice. She could have stayed elegant, stayed quiet. Instead, she dragged your name through the mud with those custody filings. She's protecting our son, he said, sharper than intended. Your son, Isabella corrected, voice dropping to a whisper. And he's better off without her instability. You know that. You chose this life, Damien. The real one. The powerful one. He looked at her then, not with desire, but with a flicker of something colder. Recognition, perhaps, that the woman beside him didn't love him. She loved what he represented. The empire, the access, the headlines. Once that would have thrilled him. In his 20s, Damien had devoured success like oxygen. He'd started with nothing. A scholarship kid from Detroit with a mind for numbers and a hunger that scared even himself. Elena had been his anchor then. She'd sketched buildings while he coded algorithms, dreaming aloud of a future where beauty and function merged. We'll build something that lasts, she'd said once, tracing the lines of a bridge design on his palm. He'd kissed her fingers and promised, forever. But forever got expensive. As his company exploded, first a startup, then a unicorn, then a global conglomerate, Damien began to mistake admiration for love, pressure for purpose. Elena's quiet strength started to feel like indifference. Her refusal to attend every gala, her insistence on raising Leo herself. It began to chafe like a too-tight collar. And Isabella? She showed up at board meetings in designer suits, quoted Nietzsche at dinner parties, and never once asked him to leave early to tuck in his son. She made him feel invincible. Now, standing on the precipice of another flawless public performance, Damien felt anything but. Let's go, he said, setting the glass down, the scotch untouched. The gala venue was the Grand Meridian Hotel, a temple of old money and new influence. Cameras flashed as they stepped from the car. Reporters shouted his name. He offered the practiced smile, the confident nod. Beside him, Isabella glowed, basking in the spotlight like a sunflower turning toward light. Inside, The ballroom shimmered. Crystal chandeliers, string quartet, guests dripping in jewels and ambition. Damien moved through the crowd like a king surveying his domain, shaking hands, exchanging pleasantries, accepting praise for the Voss Foundation's humanitarian work, but his eyes kept drifting to the grand staircase. Why? He told himself it was paranoia. Elena wouldn't dare show up. He'd made it clear. This was his world now. She'd been erased from the guest list, from the narrative, from his life. Yet a knot tightened in his chest every time someone mentioned Leo's name. Damien, a philanthropist, clapped him on the shoulder. Heard you've got your boy in the children's segment tonight. Brave move. Keeping family in the spotlight. Damien's smile froze. Yes, Leo's special. He looks just like you, the man chuckled. Strong jaw, that Voss stare. He has Elena's eyes, Damien almost said, but he swallowed it, because saying it would mean remembering, and remembering would mean feeling, and feeling was a luxury he couldn't afford tonight. Isabella appeared at his elbow, champagne flute in hand. Darling, the press is ready for our photo with the children. Where's Leo? Damien frowned. I thought he was with the coordinators. He was, she said, scanning the room. But they can't find him. Probably wandered off. You know how kids are. A cold thread of unease snaked down Damien's spine. Leo hated crowds, hated strangers. Elena would never have let him come alone. Unless, no, impossible. And then movement on the staircase. His breath stopped. There, halfway up the marble steps, stood Elena. Not in rags, not in anger, but in quiet dignity, emerald dress catching the light like forest shadow. And in her arms, clinging to her neck with both arms, was Leo, their son, his son. Time didn't slow. It shattered. The music, the chatter, the clinking glasses, all vanished. There was only her, the woman he'd left in the rain. The woman who'd held his hand through his first panic attack. The woman who'd whispered, I believe in you, when no one else did. And the child who looked at him now, not with fear, but with a confusion so pure it felt like a physical blow. Damien's glass slipped from his fingers. It hit the floor with a soft, devastating crack. Isabella hissed, What is she doing here? But Damien didn't hear her. He saw only Elena's eyes, tired, fierce, unbroken, meeting his across the room. Not pleading, not accusing, just present. And in that moment, the tycoon, the billionaire, the visionary, the man who owned skyscrapers and boardrooms, felt something he hadn't in years. He felt seen, not for his power, but for his failure. And then Isabella moved. She stepped in front of him, blocking his view with the practiced grace of a shield. Don't, she hissed under her breath, smile still perfectly in place for the cameras. Don't you dare make a scene. You've worked too hard for this. But Damien barely registered her words. His eyes darted past her shoulder, searching, needing to see Leo again. And there he was, still in Elena's arms, still watching him. Mama? Leo whispered, voice small but clear in the sudden hush near the stairs. Why is Daddy looking at us like that? Elena tightened her hold, her chin lifting just slightly. Because he's surprised to see us, sweetheart. But we're not here for him. We're here for you. Isabella turned sharply, her heels clicking like gunshots on marble as she strode toward the stairs, her smile now a weapon. Elena, she called, voice honeyed with false warmth. What a bold choice. Did no one tell you this event is by invitation only? And certainly not for uninvited guests dragging children into high-profile functions. A few nearby guests exchanged glances. Someone stifled a gasp. Elena didn't flinch. She shifted Leo to her hip, her eyes locking onto Isabella's with a calm that cut deeper than rage ever could. My son was invited, she said evenly. His name is on the program. I'm his legal guardian. That makes me not only invited, I'm necessary. Isabella's smile tightened. Legal guardian? How generous of you to remind us. Though I hear the courts are reviewing certain financial discrepancies in your filings. Hard to raise a child properly when you can't even keep the lights on, isn't it? The jab landed like a slap. Elena's breath hitched, but only for a fraction of a second. Then she smiled. Not bitterly, not defensively, just sadly. "Funny," she said softly. "I was just thinking the same about you, Isabella. All this glitter, all this noise. And yet, you still can't buy what matters most." Isabella's eyes flashed. She opened her mouth to retort, but before she could, a voice cut through the tension like steel. "Enough!" Damien stood at the base of the stairs now, hands clenched at his sides, face pale beneath his tan. He didn't look at Isabella. His eyes were fixed on Elena, and on Leo, who shrank slightly against his mother's shoulder. "Leo," Damien said, voice rough, unfamiliar even to himself. "Come here, son." Leo hesitated, glancing up at Elena. She didn't stop him, didn't encourage him, just gave a small, silent nod. Slowly, the boy stepped down one stair, then another, until he stood before his father, small hands twisting the hem of his tiny tuxedo jacket. Damien knelt, right there on the grand marble floor in front of everyone. The tycoon, the titan, on one knee like a penitent. "Hey, buddy," he murmured, voice cracking. You look so big." Leo stared at him, eyes wide. "You didn't come to my birthday." The words were simple, devastating. Damien swallowed hard. "I know, and I'm sorry. You said you'd build me a rocket." "I did." Damien's throat tightened. "It's in the garage. I never gave it to you." "Why?" The question hung in the air, innocent and brutal. Isabella stepped forward, hand on Damien's shoulder. "Darling, let's take this somewhere private. The press is already—" "Don't touch me," Damien said, not looking at her. The words were quiet but final. Isabella recoiled as if burned. Elena watched it all from above, heart pounding. She wanted to run down, grab Leo, and vanish into the night. But something held her there, the raw, unguarded pain in Damien's eyes. She hadn't seen that man in years. Then Leo did something unexpected. He reached out and touched his father's face, just a brush of tiny fingers against Damien's stubble. "Are you sad, Daddy?" Damien closed his eyes. A single tear escaped, tracing a path down his cheek. He didn't wipe it away. "Yes," he whispered, "I am." And in that moment, the carefully constructed facade of Damien Voss, the empire, the image, the invincibility, crumbled like dry sand. Isabella, sensing her control slipping, turned to a nearby staffer. "Get security. This is a breach of protocol." But the staffer hesitated, glancing at Damien, who was still kneeling, still holding his son's hand like it was the only thing keeping him from falling into an abyss. "No," Damien said, standing slowly, Leo's hand still in his. He looked at Isabella, his voice low but carrying. "She's not a breach. She's his mother." The crowd parted as if sensing a shift in the atmosphere, something ancient and human overriding the glitter and pretense. Elena finally descended the last few steps, stopping a few feet away. Her eyes met Damien's, and for the first time in 18 months, there was no anger between them, only grief, and something else, something fragile, like the first green shoot after a wildfire. "You stopped paying the support," she said quietly, so only he could hear. "We're being evicted next week." Damien's face went slack with shock. "What? I signed the transfers. Every month." "Then someone's lying," she said, glancing pointedly at Isabella, who stood rigid, her mask finally slipping into something cold and feral. Isabella's lips curled. "Oh, Elena, always playing the victim. Maybe if you'd stayed in your place." "Enough," Damien cut in, voice like stone. He turned to Elena, his expression shattered. "I swear to you, I didn't know." And for the first time, she believed him. But belief wasn't enough. Not when Leo was caught in the crossfire. Not when every second in this room was another wound for a child who only wanted his father to come home. Elena held out her hand. "Leo, it's time to go." The boy looked between his parents, confusion clouding his eyes. Then, slowly, He let go of Damien's hand and walked back to his mother. As she turned to leave, Damien's voice stopped her. "Elena." She paused but didn't look back. "I'll fix this," he said. "I'll fix everything." She finally turned, eyes glistening. "You can't fix what you refuse to see, Damien." And with that, she walked out. Leo's small hand in hers, the gala's golden lights. Damien stood motionless in the center of the ballroom. His tuxedo immaculate, his posture rigid, but inside, something vital had cracked open. He could still feel the ghost of Leo's small hand in his, could still hear the quiet devastation in that simple question. "You didn't come to my birthday." Isabella materialized at his side again, her perfume suddenly cloying, suffocating. "You let her walk out looking like the martyr," she hissed, voice low and venomous. "After everything I've done to protect your image, to elevate you." Damien turned to her slowly, not with anger, with something colder. "Protect me? Or protect your seat at the table?" Her eyes narrowed. "Don't be naive, Damien. You needed someone who understood the game. Elena was dragging you backward, into mediocrity, into sentimentality. You were drowning in domesticity. And you threw me a life raft made of mirrors," he said, voice hollow. "All reflection, no substance." She laughed, a sharp, brittle sound. "Substance? Look around you. This is substance. Power, legacy, influence. What did she give you? A child who doesn't even know your schedule, and a life that smelled like laundry detergent." For the first time, Damien didn't flinch at the insult. He just looked past her, toward the grand doors Elena had vanished through. "She gave me a reason to build something that mattered," he said quietly. "Not just something that looked like it mattered." Isabella's smile faltered. "You're not serious." "I've never been more serious." He turned fully to her now, his voice low but final. "Get out of my life, Isabella. Tonight. Permanently." Her face went pale, then flushed crimson. "You'll regret this," she whispered. "I know things, Damien. Things that would make your precious legacy crumble before breakfast." "Then publish them," he said, shrugging off his tuxedo jacket and tossing it onto a nearby chair. "Because I'd rather lose everything than lose him again." And with that, he walked away, not toward the exit, but toward the event coordinator's office at the back of the ballroom. Inside, a harried woman jumped as he entered without knocking. "Mr. Voss, I didn't expect—" "Where is my son?" he demanded, voice raw. "He left with his mother, sir. Security escorted them to the east garage. Per your earlier instruction that Ms. Moreau wasn't to be detained." Damien's stomach dropped. "I never gave that instruction." The woman blinked. "But Ms. Laurent said it came from you. She showed us your digital authorization." "Of course she did." He ran a hand through his hair, mind racing. Elena was gone. Leo was gone. And Isabella had been manipulating the narrative and the logistics from the start. He pulled out his phone, fingers trembling as he dialed Elena's number. It rang and went to voicemail. He tried again. Same result. Back in the ballroom, guests were beginning to disperse, sensing the storm beneath the surface. Reporters lingered near the exits, cameras ready. Someone had already posted a blurry photo online. Voss heir reunited with estranged mother at gala? Scandal or redemption? None of it mattered. What mattered was that his son had looked at him like he was a stranger. And worse, he'd been right. Damien strode out of the hotel, ignoring the shouts of his name, the flash of cameras. The night air hit him like a slap, cold, clean, real. He hailed a cab, not caring that his tuxedo was wrinkled, his hair disheveled, his billionaire composure shattered. "Where to?" the driver asked. Damien hesitated. He didn't know Elena's address. She'd moved after the separation, changed her number twice. But then he remembered the old brownstone near the botanical gardens. The one she'd always loved. The one he'd promised to buy her when they were students. "Just drive," he said. "I'll tell you when to stop." As the city blurred past the window, memories flooded him. Elena sketching floor plans on napkins, laughing as he burned toast, holding his hand in the hospital when Leo was born, exhausted, radiant, whispering, "We made a miracle." He'd called that life suffocating. Now, it felt like the only thing that had ever been real. The cab pulled up to the quiet street. There, on the second floor of a modest building, was a single lit window. And in its glow, a silhouette, Elena, sitting on the floor, reading to Leo. Damien's breath caught. He stepped out, paid the driver, and stood on the sidewalk, heart pounding. He should knock, should explain, should beg. But what if she slammed the door? What if Leo looked at him with that same quiet confusion? He took one step forward, then stopped. Because in that moment, he understood showing up wasn't enough. Not after 18 months of silence. Not after letting Isabella weaponize his absence. He needed to prove he was different. Not with words, with action. He turned and walked back to the cab, but not before whispering into the night, so softly only the stars could hear. "I'm coming back, Leo, and this time I'll stay." Inside the apartment, Elena closed the storybook and kissed Leo's forehead. "Sleep now, my prince." As she stood to leave, Leo's small voice stopped her. "Mama, do you think Daddy really is sad?" Elena paused, her hand on the doorknob. Outside, a lone figure disappeared into the shadows of the street. "Yes, sweetheart," she said softly. "I think he is." But sadness, she knew, wasn't redemption. And trust, once broken, wasn't rebuilt in a night. She padded to Leo's room and found him already awake, sitting cross-legged on his bed, staring at the cardboard crown from the gala, now slightly crumpled. He didn't look up as she entered. "Mama," he said softly, "do you think Daddy will come back?" Her heart cracked open like thin ice. She sat beside him, smoothing his sleep-mussed hair. "I don't know, sweetheart, but no matter what, you are loved. So deeply." He nodded, but his eyes were distant, already learning the language of disappointment. Downstairs, the kettle whistled. As she poured water over chamomile leaves, her phone buzzed on the counter. Not a call, a message from an unknown number. "Elena, it's Damien. I know you don't trust me, but please let me see him. Not as a tycoon, not as a headline, just as his father. I'll wait outside. Anytime, any place. Just say the word." She stared at the screen, fingers trembling. Part of her wanted to delete it. Another part, the part that still remembered the boy who'd held her hand during her father's funeral, ached to believe him. But belief was a luxury she couldn't afford. Not when Leo's heart was on the line. She typed back, fingers stiff. "You don't get to disappear and reappear like a ghost. If you want to be his father, show up like one. Consistently, quietly, without cameras, without conditions." She hit send and immediately regretted it. Too harsh? Too hopeful? Before she could second-guess, another notification popped up. Not from Damien, from Isabella. "Cute performance last night, Elena." But let's be clear, Damien's world doesn't have room for charity cases. And Leo, he's better off without your instability. I've already spoken to my lawyer. Shared custody with supervised visits. For his own protection, of course. Elena's blood ran cold. She gripped the counter, breath shallow. Supervised visits. As if she were a threat. As if she hadn't spent every night for 4 years making sure Leo felt safe, seen, loved. And then it hit her. Isabella wasn't just trying to control Damien. She was trying to erase her. Completely. Her hands flew to her laptop. She logged into the family court portal, heart hammering. There it was. A new filing, time-stamped 3:17 a.m. petition for modification of custody arrangement, emergency motion, allegations of financial instability and emotional neglect. It was a lie. All of it. But in court, lies dressed in legal jargon could become truth. She sank into a chair, tears burning but not falling. She couldn't fall apart. Not now. Leo padded into the kitchen in his dinosaur pajamas, rubbing his eyes. "Mama, are you sad?" She forced a smile, scooping him into her lap. "Just thinking, baby." He leaned his head against her shoulder. Daddy looked sad too. She closed her eyes, holding him tighter. Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes, Leo, big ones, but that doesn't mean they don't love you. Then why don't they stay? The question pierced her like a blade. Before she could answer, a soft knock echoed at the door. Not the landlord, not a neighbor. She knew that rhythm. Hesitant, respectful, afraid. Her pulse spiked. She carried Leo to the window, peering through the blinds. There, on the sidewalk, stood Damien. Not in a suit, not in a luxury car. Just jeans, a worn sweater, and no entourage. He held a small paper bag, probably pastries from the bakery Leo loved. And he wasn't looking at the building. He was staring at his shoes, shoulders hunched like a man bracing for rejection. Leo gasped, "Daddy!" Elena's breath caught. "Do you want to see him?" Leo nodded eagerly. "Yes. Can he come in?" She hesitated. Every instinct screamed caution. But Leo's eyes, so full of hope, undid her. She opened the door just a crack. Damien looked up, eyes wide with surprise and relief. "Elena, I didn't expect you to answer. You didn't give me much choice," she said, voice tight. "Isabella filed for emergency custody this morning." His face went pale. "What? No, I swear, I didn't." "I know," she cut in, surprising herself. "I believe you, but that doesn't change what she's capable of." He stepped closer, voice dropping. "I cut her off last night. Cut her out of everything, accounts, projects, even the foundation board. She's furious, but I don't care. I needed to see him, to tell him I'm sorry, to tell you I'm sorry." Leo peeked around her leg. "Hi, Daddy." Damien's expression shattered. He crouched down, eyes glistening. "Hey, buddy, I brought your favorite chocolate croissants." Leo beamed and darted forward, throwing his arms around Damien's neck before Elena could stop him. And in that embrace, so simple, so pure, something shifted in the air. Damien held his son like he was made of glass, whispering, "I missed you so much." Elena watched, arms crossed, heart warring with itself. She wanted to slam the door. She wanted to let him in. Then Leo pulled back, frowning. "Why did you leave, Daddy?" Damien froze. No deflection, no corporate spin, just raw, trembling honesty. "Because I was selfish. Because I thought success meant being alone at the top. But I was wrong. The only thing that ever mattered was right here." Elena's throat tightened. Leo studied his father's face, then reached out and touched the dark circles under his eyes. "Are you tired?" "Yes," Damien whispered, "but I'm trying to wake up." Silence stretched, fragile but warm. Then Elena stepped aside. "Come in," she said quietly. "But this isn't forgiveness. It's a chance." Damien nodded, eyes shining with gratitude and fear, because he knew this was his only shot. As he stepped over the threshold, Leo grabbed his hand and tugged him toward the kitchen table. "You have to try Mama's tea. It's magic." Damien looked at Elena over Leo's head. And in that glance, no words, just shared history, shared pain, shared hope. The first real bridge between them began to form. Damien sat at the edge of the small table, shoulders hunched as if afraid to take up too much space. "You remembered," he said, voice rough. "Mama told me," Leo said proudly. "She says you used to drink tea with her every Sunday morning before you got busy." The words hung there, "before you got busy." A child's gentle euphemism for abandonment. Damien's throat worked. "I was wrong to get busy," he said softly. "Nothing was more important than this." Elena turned, arms crossed, leaning against the counter. "Then why did it take a gala and a public meltdown for you to realize that?" He looked up, eyes bloodshot but clear. "Because I was drowning in a life I built to impress people I didn't even like. And I didn't notice I'd left you both behind until I saw you on those stairs, holding him like you always do, like you've always done. And I realized I wasn't in the picture anymore. Not really." Leo climbed onto Damien's lap without hesitation, leaning back against his chest like it was the most natural thing in the world. Damien wrapped his arms around him slowly, as if afraid the boy might dissolve. Elena's chest tightened. She wanted to be angry, She should be angry, but watching them, the way Damien's fingers trembled as they brushed Leo's hair, the way Leo sighed contentedly, it was hard to hold on to rage when what she saw was grief, not guilt. Then her phone buzzed on the table. She glanced at it. A notification from the City Housing Authority. Final notice. Eviction proceedings will commence in 7 days if outstanding rent is not settled. Her stomach dropped. Damien noticed. What is it? She hesitated, then turned the screen toward him. This is what financial instability looks like, Damien. Not neglect, not danger, just running out of time. He read the message, his face draining of color. You're being evicted? Because you stopped paying, she said, voice low but sharp. And now Isabella's using it as proof I'm unfit. I didn't stop, he insisted, pulling out his phone. I authorized the transfers every month. I have the records. Then where's the money? She shot back, frustration finally cracking through. Because it never arrived. And now we have 7 days to find a new home, or Leo sleeps in a shelter. Leo looked up, confused. A shelter? Like for dogs? No, baby, Elena said quickly, forcing calm into her voice. Just a different kind of house. But Damien was already typing furiously. His jaw clenched. I'm calling my CFO. Now. He stepped into the hallway, voice low but urgent. Marcus, pull every transaction linked to Elena Moreau's support account from the last 18 months. Yes, now. And freeze Isabella's access to the Voss Family Trust. Effective immediately. Elena watched him through the doorway, arms wrapped around herself. She wanted to believe him, but belief had burned her before. When he returned, his expression was grim. The payments were rerouted, he said, voice tight with fury, into an offshore shell company one Isabella controls. She's been siphoning the funds for months. Elena closed her eyes. Of course she was. I'll get it back, he said, stepping closer. Every cent, and I'll pay your rent. Today. And then what? She asked, meeting his gaze. You write a check and disappear again? Let Isabella spin another story while I fight to keep my son. No, he said, shaking his head. I'm staying. Not here unless you'll have me, but nearby. I've already rented a place 3 blocks away. No staff, no cameras, just me. And I'll be at every school pickup, every doctor's appointment, every bedtime. If you'll let me. Leo tugged his sleeve. Can you read me a story tonight, Daddy? Damien looked at Elena, eyes pleading. Please. She wanted to say no, to protect Leo from another cycle of hope and heartbreak. But the boy was already clinging to his father's hand like a lifeline. One night, she said finally. One story. And if you're late, if you cancel, if you let him down again. I won't, Damien interrupted, voice breaking. I swear on everything I've lost. I won't. That evening, as rain began to patter against the windows again, Damien sat on Leo's tiny bed, reading Where the Wild Things Are in a voice softer than Elena had ever heard. Leo's eyes grew heavy, his fingers curled around Damien's sleeve. Outside, Elena stood in the hallway listening. Her arms ached to push him away. Her heart ached to let him stay. And then Leo murmured, half asleep, Daddy, don't go. Damien's voice cracked. I'm right here, buddy. I'm not going anywhere. Elena pressed a hand to her mouth, tears finally spilling over, because for the first time in 18 months, she believed him. But even as hope flickered to life, a darker thought whispered in the back of her mind. Isabella wasn't done. She'd been cornered, and cornered predators were the most dangerous of all. Somewhere across the city, in a penthouse stripped of Damien's name, Isabella Lauron stared at her phone, scrolling through photos from the gala. Her thumb hovered over a folder labeled insurance. Inside, screenshots of Damien's private emails, financial irregularities, and a single audio file recorded during a heated argument months ago, where he'd said, in a moment of rage, "Sometimes I wish I'd never become a father." She smiled, cold and sharp. If she couldn't have him, no one would. And tomorrow, the world would see the real Damien Voss, not the repentant father, Then she heard it, soft laughter from the living room. She rounded the corner and stopped. There, on the floor, sat Damien in yesterday's clothes, surrounded by building blocks, helping Leo construct a lopsided tower. Sunlight hadn't risen yet, but the street lamp outside cast a golden glow over them. Father and son, heads bent together, whispering like conspirators. "You put the red one on top," Leo instructed, utterly serious. "That's the fire alarm." Damien nodded solemnly. "Critical safety feature. Got it." Elena leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, heart caught between relief and wariness. He'd stayed, actually stayed, not for show, not for cameras, just for him. He looked up and saw her. A slow, tentative smile touched his lips. No charm, no performance, just quiet hope. "Morning," he murmured. She nodded, voice tight. "You didn't leave. I said I wouldn't." He glanced at Leo, then back at her. "I meant it." Before she could respond, her phone buzzed on the coffee table. She picked it up and froze. A news alert. Exclusive. Tycoon Damien Voss accused of financial fraud and parental neglect. Audio leak suggests he wished he'd never been a father. Her blood turned to ice. Damien saw her face change. "What is it?" She turned the screen toward him. His expression went slack, then darkened with recognition and fury. That's from months ago," he said, voice low. "After Isabella told me you were taking Leo to Europe without telling me. I was angry. I said things I didn't mean." She recorded it. Leo looked up, sensing the shift. "What's wrong, Mama?" "Nothing, baby," she said quickly, forcing calm into her voice, but her hands were shaking. Damien stood, face pale. "She's trying to destroy me, and you by extension." "Why?" Leo asked, confused. Damien knelt in front of him, hands gentle on his shoulders. "Because some people would rather burn the whole world than see someone else happy in it." Elena's phone rang. Unknown number. She answered on speaker. "Ms. Morrow," a woman's voice, sharp, professional. "This is Rachel Cho from Child Protective Services. We've received an anonymous tip alleging emotional endangerment and financial instability in your household, corroborated by recent media reports. We're required to conduct a welfare check today." Elena's stomach dropped. "You can't be serious." "I'm afraid I am. We'll be there within the hour." She hung up, turning to Damien, eyes blazing. This is exactly what she wanted. To paint me as unstable, you as monstrous, and Leo as a victim caught in the middle. "I'll handle it," Damien said, pulling out his phone. "I'll call my lawyer, my PR team. We'll issue a statement." "No," Elena cut in, voice trembling but firm. "Statements won't stop them from walking in here and seeing a single mother in a soon-to-be evicted apartment with a billionaire ex showing up unannounced. It'll look exactly like the narrative she's selling." Leo tugged her sleeve. "Are they taking me away?" Her heart shattered. She dropped to her knees, cupping his face. "No, absolutely not. You're safe. You're loved. Nothing will ever change that." Damien watched them, his own eyes glistening. Then he did something unexpected. He walked to the closet, pulled out his suitcase, the one he'd brought last night, and opened it. Inside weren't suits or gadgets, just clothes, a toothbrush, a worn copy of Goodnight Moon. "I'm not leaving," he said quietly. "Not until this is over. Let them see a family, not a scandal." Elena stared at him. "You'd stay here? In this tiny apartment? With no staff, no luxury?" "I built my first company in a garage with a sleeping bag and a laptop," he said, a ghost of his old fire returning. "This isn't hardship. This is home." Just then, a knock echoed at the door. Both adults froze. Leo clung to Elena's leg. Damien stepped forward, placing himself slightly in front of them. Not as a shield, but as a presence. "Let me talk to them." Elena shook her head. "No, this is my home, my fight." She opened the door. Two CPS workers stood there. Woman and man, badges gleaming, faces neutral but eyes sharp. "Ms. Moreau, we're here for a routine welfare check." Elena stood tall, despite the fear clawing at her throat. Of course, come in. As they stepped inside, their eyes swept the room. The modest furniture, the toys neatly stacked, the breakfast dishes already washed. They saw Leo wide-eyed but calm. They saw Damien, not in a suit, but in a faded sweater holding a half-built block tower. The female officer frowned slightly. "Mr. Voss, you're listed as non-custodial." "I'm here as Leo's father," he said evenly. "And as support for Ms. Moreau. We're co-parenting. Actively." The male officer glanced at his notes. The tip alleged neglect, financial distress, and exposure to volatile adult conflict. Elena met his gaze. "We've faced hardship, yes, but neglect, never. Leo has food, love, stability, and two parents who are finally choosing him over pride." Leo, sensing the moment, walked up to the female officer and held out his block tower. "This is our house," he said proudly. "Daddy helped me build it." The woman's stern expression softened, just a fraction. Then her eyes landed on the eviction notice, still on the kitchen counter. Damien saw it too. Without a word, he pulled out his phone, dialed a number. "Marcus, transfer $50,000 to Elena Moreau's account now, and contact the landlord, full payment for the next 2 years, upfront. Today." He hung up and looked at the CPS officers. "The financial issue is resolved. As of this minute." The female officer exchanged a glance with her partner. After a long pause, she closed her notebook. "We'll file our report, but based on what we see here, there's no immediate concern for the child's safety." Relief crashed over Elena like a wave. As they left, Leo ran to Damien and hugged his legs. "You saved our house." Damien picked him up, voice thick. "No, buddy, you did, by being exactly who you are." But as Elena watched them, a new fear took root, because Isabella wouldn't stop at CPS. She'd gone nuclear, and if she had one audio clip, what else did she have? That night, after Leo was asleep, Damien stood by the window, staring into the rain. "She's going to leak more," he said quietly. "Financial records, private emails, maybe even doctored photos. She wants to bury me and take you down with me." Elena joined him, arms wrapped around herself. "Then we fight back, not with money, with truth." He turned to her, eyes searching. "Will you stand with me, even after everything?" She looked at him, really looked, not at the tycoon, not at the man who'd broken her heart, but at the father who'd shown up in sweatpants and stayed through the storm. Elena's hands stilled. The ceramic bowl slipped from her fingers and shattered on the floor. Damien appeared in the doorway instantly, barefoot, hair tousled, eyes sharp with alarm. "What is it?" She showed him the message. His face darkened like thunder gathering. "She's weaponizing the media," he said, voice low and dangerous, "turning our pain into entertainment." Leo wandered in, rubbing his eyes. "Mama? Why's the bowl broken?" "Just an accident, sweetheart," Elena said, forcing lightness into her voice, but her pulse roared in her ears. Damien knelt, gathering the shards carefully. "Go get your shoes, buddy. We're taking a walk." "Where to?" Leo asked. "The park," Damien said. "The one with the big oak tree you like." As Leo scampered off, Elena turned on Damien. "You can't just distract him from this. He's going to hear things, see things. Kids talk at school." "I know," Damien said, standing, his voice raw. "But today, just for today, I want him to be a child, not a headline." She wanted to argue, but the truth was she needed it too. They walked through the quiet streets, Leo skipping ahead, chasing fallen leaves. For a few blocks, the world felt normal. Then Elena's phone buzzed again. A photo this time. Leaked, grainy, but unmistakable. Her, years ago, leaving a therapist's office after her mother's funeral. The caption beneath it in a gossip blog. Elena Moreau's history of emotional instability. Is she fit to raise Leo Voss? She stopped walking, breath-catching. Damien saw it over her shoulder. His jaw clenched. "That was grief counseling, Elena, after your mother died." They're twisting everything. I know, she whispered, but people won't care. They'll see a fragile woman, an unfit mother. Leo turned back, sensing the shift. Mama, are you sad again? Before she could answer, a black SUV slowed beside them. Tinted windows, no plates. Damien stepped in front of them instantly, pulling Leo close. Keep walking, he murmured. The SUV rolled forward, then stopped again 20 feet ahead. The passenger window lowered. Isabella. She wore sunglasses, but her smile was a blade. Morning, family, she called, voice dripping with false sweetness. Enjoying your little stroll? So domestic. Damien's voice was ice. Stay away from us. Oh, Damien, she sighed, leaning out slightly. You really think renting a studio and playing house makes you a hero? You're still the same man who walked out on her. The same man who said he wished he'd never been a father. Leo looked up at Damien, eyes wide. You said that. Damien's face went white. Leo, that wasn't. But Isabella wasn't done. She held up her phone. I've got more, you know. Emails where you called her a liability. Texts where you said Leo was a distraction from your vision. Want me to read them aloud? Or should I just send them to every parenting blog in the country? Elena stepped forward, trembling but fierce. You're pathetic, Isabella. You don't want him. You just can't stand that he chose us over you. Isabella's smile vanished. He didn't choose you. He pitied you. And pity doesn't build legacies. It breeds weakness. Then she leaned further out, voice dropping to a venomous whisper only they could hear. By next week, you'll be begging for supervised visits. And Damien, you'll be answering subpoenas instead of running board meetings. The SUV sped off, leaving silence in its wake. Leo clung to Elena's hand, tears welling. Why does she hate us, Mama? Elena knelt, cupping his face. She doesn't hate us, baby. She's just lost. And sometimes lost people hurt others because they don't know how to heal. Damien stood behind them, fists clenched, shoulders shaking. Not with rage, but with shame. Later, back in the apartment, Leo fell asleep on the couch, exhausted by the weight of a world too cruel for his small heart. Elena sat at the table, staring at her laptop, scrolling through the growing storm of articles. Each one cut deeper. Damien poured 2 cups of tea, her favorite chamomile, and sat across from her. I'm going to her, he said quietly. Elena looked up, startled. To Isabella? Yes. He met her gaze, eyes burning with resolve. I'm ending this, face to face. No lawyers, no leaks, just me, telling her that if she touches you or Leo again, I'll expose everything. Her embezzlement, her manipulation, her lies. I don't care if it burns my empire down. Let it burn. Elena studied him, the man who once measured worth in stock prices, now willing to lose everything for a child's peace. She'll record you, she warned. She'll twist your words. Then I'll say it on camera, he said, live, to the world, if that's what it takes. A long silence stretched between them, filled only by the soft sound of Leo's breathing. Then Elena reached across the table and covered his hand with hers. Her touch was light, but it anchored him. Don't go alone, she said. He looked at their joined hands, then at her eyes, no longer guarded, but steady, strong. No, he agreed. Not this time. Outside, the city hummed with secrets and sirens. But in this small apartment, something new was being built. Not with money or power, but with truth, with courage, with the quiet, unbreakable bond of a family refusing to be torn apart. Damien stepped forward, voice low but steady. We're here to end this. Isabella laughed, a sharp, brittle sound. And what? The truth? The world finally seeing who you really are. The world already knows who you are, Elena said, stepping beside Damien. A woman who steals children's fathers and calls it love. Isabella's smile faltered. She set her glass down with deliberate calm. Careful, Elena. You're still just a footnote in his story, and footnotes get edited out. No, Damien said, eyes locked on hers. You're the one who's been editing reality, redirecting payments, leaking private moments, filing false claims. You didn't just betray me. You weaponized my son's pain for your revenge. Isabella stood now, spine straight, eyes flashing. I gave you everything you ever wanted. Power, influence, a life beyond that sad little apartment. And what did you give me? Doubt, regret, her. She pointed at Elena like she was a stain. You crawled back to her like a dog to its bowl. I didn't crawl, Damien said, voice cracking with emotion. I woke up, and what I saw in that gala, Elena holding our son on those stairs, wasn't a ghost from my past. It was the future I threw away, and I won't lose it again. Leo's face flashed in his mind, confused, hopeful, trusting. The memory gutted him anew. Isabella's composure finally cracked. You think you're noble now? Playing house with her while your empire crumbles? Newsflash, Damien, nobody cares about your redemption arc. They care about the scandal. And I've got enough to bury you. She walked to her desk, pulled out a sleek tablet, and tapped the screen. A video began to play. Damien, months ago, exhausted, voice raw. Sometimes I wish I'd never become a father. It's like I lost myself the day he was born. Elena flinched as if struck. Damien closed his eyes. That was the night you told me she was taking Leo to France without telling me. I was terrified. I lashed out, and you recorded it like a vulture. Because you meant it, Isabella hissed. You've always resented being tied down. No, Damien said, turning to Elena, his voice breaking. I resented losing you. I thought becoming a father meant I failed as a man. But I was wrong. Becoming his father made me human. Elena looked at him, really looked, and saw not the tycoon, not the ghost of her past, but a man shattered and remade by love. Isabella watched them, and something ugly twisted in her expression. Fine, she said coldly. You want war? I'll give you war. Tomorrow morning, that audio goes live with full context, emails, financial logs, even your therapy notes from when you said you couldn't connect with Leo. The court will see you as emotionally unfit. And Elena, she turned to her, voice venomous. They'll see you as a gold digger who dragged a billionaire down into mediocrity. Elena didn't flinch. Instead, she stepped forward, calm as still water. Go ahead, release it all. Because while you've been collecting my pain like trophies, I've been building something you'll never understand. Isabella raised an eyebrow. Oh, and what's that? A home, Elena said softly. Not with marble floors or chandeliers, but with bedtime stories, scraped knees, and a child who knows he's loved, no matter what the world says. She turned to Damien, her eyes glistening. And if they take him from us, they'll never take his memory of us choosing each other, of us fighting for him. Damien reached for her hand. She let him take it. In that moment, Isabella saw it. The thing she could never buy, never manipulate, never steal. Real love. Not the kind that glittered under chandeliers, but the kind that endured in broken apartments and rainy mornings and whispered apologies. And it terrified her, because she had nothing to counter it. You'll regret this, she whispered, but the threat lacked its usual edge. No, Damien said, squeezing Elena's hand. We already did. Now we're fixing it. They turned to leave, but as they reached the door, Isabella called out, voice trembling with something like desperation. Damien, was any of it real? With me. He paused, didn't turn. You wanted the crown, he said quietly, but you never wanted the man beneath it. And with that, they walked out, into the hushed rain, into the uncertain future, but together. Back in the cab, Elena leaned her head against the window, exhausted. She'll still leak it. Maybe, Damien said, but this time we'll face it side by side. No more secrets, no more shame. He pulled out his phone and opened his social media, accounts he hadn't touched in years. With steady fingers, he typed a message, attached a photo of Leo asleep on his chest from that morning, and hit post. To anyone reading this, I made terrible mistakes. I hurt the two people I love most, but I'm learning, every day, not as a tycoon, as a father, as a man trying to earn back trust. If you want the truth, here it is. Messy, human, real. Elena read it over his shoulder, tears finally falling. You're really doing this. I have to, he said. For him, for you, for me. That night, as the city slept, the post began to spread. Not as scandal, but as she sat at the kitchen table, laptop open, scanning legal documents her friend, the lawyer, had sent overnight. Her fingers trembled as she read the highlighted lines. Evidence suggests deliberate misappropriation of spousal and child support funds through shell entities linked to Isabella Loron. She looked up as Damien entered, holding 2 mugs of coffee. He'd been sleeping on the couch, showering at the gym down the street, moving through their space with quiet respect. Never assuming, always asking. You found something, he said, not a question. She nodded, voice tight. It's worse than we thought. She didn't just rear out the payments. She funneled over $400,000 into offshore accounts under fake names. And she used your signature stamp, the one from your private office, to authorize it. Damien set the mugs down, his face hardening. That stamp was locked in my safe. Only 2 people had access, me and her. Leo wandered in, still in pajamas, rubbing his eyes. Daddy? Mama? Why do you look sad again? Elena forced a smile. We're just solving a puzzle, sweetheart. Damien knelt, pulling Leo into a hug. And we're going to win. But as Leo went to play in his room, Damien's expression darkened. If she's been stealing that much, she's not just greedy. She's desperate. And desperate people do dangerous things. As if on cue, Elena's phone buzzed. A notification from her bank. Alert. Large withdrawal attempt from joint account, Voss Family Trust. Denied due to recent freeze. She showed Damien, his jaw clenched. She's trying to empty what's left. We need to go to the police, Elena said. File a formal report. This isn't just about money anymore, it's about intent. She's trying to destabilize us financially to win custody. I know, he said, running a hand through his hair. But if we go public with fraud charges, the media will drag Leo through it again. Billionaire's son caught in financial war. They'll spin it as chaos. And if we don't, Elena countered, voice rising. She'll keep bleeding us dry until we have nothing left to fight with, until they really do take him from us. Her voice broke on the last word. She turned away, pressing a hand to her mouth. Damien stepped closer, his voice softening. Hey, look at me. She didn't. I won't let that happen, he said. Not again. I'd sell every building, every car, every damn watch. I'd live in a tent if I had to. But he stays with you, with us. She finally looked at him, tears glistening. You say that now, but what happens when the board pressures you? When your investors pull out? When Isabella leaks something even worse? I don't care, he said, and for the first time, she believed him. Not because of his words, but because of the raw fear in his eyes. Not for his empire, for his son. Just then, Leo ran back in, holding a drawing. Look, I made a family picture. He held it up, 3 stick figures under a rainbow. The tallest had a tie. The middle one had long hair. The smallest held both their hands. Damien's breath caught. You drew me in it. Of course, Leo said, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. You're my daddy. Elena covered her mouth, tears spilling over. Damien pulled Leo into his lap, voice thick. I promise I'll never leave this picture again. But as he held his son, his phone rang. Unknown number. He answered on speaker, wary. Mr. Voss. A man's voice, calm, professional. This is Agent Reyes with the Financial Crimes Unit. We've been reviewing irregularities in Voss Holdings offshore transfers. We believe Ms. Loron may be involved in a larger embezzlement scheme. We'd like you to come in for an interview. Voluntarily. Damien exchanged a glance with Elena. This was it, the turning point. I'll be there, he said. After he hung up, silence settled between them, heavy with implication. If they investigate her, Elena said slowly, everything comes out. The theft, the manipulation, the lies. And if she's charged, Damien added, she loses all leverage. No more custody claims. No more threats. But she'll fight back, Elena whispered. She'll drag you down with her. Let her try, Damien said, standing, resolve hardening in his eyes. Because this time, I'm not hiding behind my name. I'm standing in front of my son. That afternoon, as Damien prepared to leave for the federal office, Leo clung to his leg. Don't go, Daddy. Damien knelt, cupping his son's face. I have to, buddy, to make sure no one ever hurts you or Mama again. Will you come back? Before bedtime, Damien promised. I'll read you the Gruffalo. Leo nodded, still uncertain. Elena walked Damien to the door. Be careful, she said softly. She might have set a trap. He took her hand, just for a second. Whatever happens, thank you for not giving up on us. Then he was gone. Elena stood at the window, watching him disappear into the street, heart pounding with dread and something else. Hope, fragile but real. 2 hours later, her phone rang. It wasn't Damien. It was Isabella. Elena hesitated, then answered on speaker. Enjoying the quiet, Elena? Isabella's voice was calm, almost pleasant. Too calm. What do you want? I just wanted you to know, Isabella said, that while Damien's busy playing hero at the federal building, I filed an emergency motion, citing new evidence of parental instability, specifically your recent financial distress and, the fact that you're housing a man under criminal investigation. Elena's blood ran cold. You're bluffing. Am I? Isabella's voice dropped to a whisper. Check your email. Elena did. There it was, a court filing time-stamped an hour ago, and attached, a photo of Damien leaving the federal office, captioned father under investigation for financial crimes, child safety at risk. They'll issue a temporary order, Isabella said sweetly. Supervised visits only, starting tomorrow. Elena's hands shook. You won't get away with this. I already have, Isabella said, because while you were busy believing in redemption, I was busy winning. She hung up. Silence crashed down. Leo appeared in the doorway holding his stuffed bear. Mama? Is Daddy in trouble? Elena knelt, pulling him close, her voice steady despite the terror clawing at her chest. No, baby. Daddy's being brave. And so are we. Her heart cracked. No, sweetheart. Not if I can help it. But the truth coiled in her gut like a snake. Without Damien's financial support, and with Isabella weaponizing every legal loophole, they might not have a choice. Just past dusk, the door creaked open. Damien stood there, shoulders slumped, tie loose, eyes hollow. He didn't speak, just walked in, dropped his keys on the table, and sank into a chair like a man who'd run a marathon through fire. Elena rushed to him. What happened? He ran a hand over his face. They're opening a full investigation, not just into Isabella but into Voss Holdings. My CFO confirmed she forged my signature on at least 12 transfers. They think she's been laundering money for months. Leo looked up, eyes wide. Is Daddy in jail? Damien's expression shattered. He knelt instantly. No, buddy. Never. I'm right here. But the fear in Leo's voice, the quiet tremor, was worse than any accusation. Elena knelt beside them. Isabella filed an emergency motion today. She's using the investigation to claim you're unstable. They might order supervised visits. Damien's head dropped. God, Elena, I'm so sorry. I brought this on you. On him. You didn't, she said fiercely. She did. And we're not letting her win. But even as she said it, doubt gnawed at her. How could they fight a system that saw wealth as virtue and struggle as failure? That night, after Leo finally fell asleep, after 3 bedtime stories and 2 reassurances that Daddy isn't going anywhere, Elena and Damien sat at the kitchen table, the glow of the laptop casting long shadows. We need a counter-move, Damien said, voice low. Not just legally, publicly. She's painting me as a fraud and you as desperate. We need to show the truth. The truth is messy, Elena said. It's eviction notices and therapy bills and a 4-year-old who asks why his daddy left. Exactly, Damien said, meeting her gaze. That's the truth people connect with. Not perfection, pain, and healing. He pulled out his phone, opened his camera. Let me film something. Just you. Just real. Elena hesitated. I'm not a performer. You're a mother, he said gently. That's all you need to be. After a long pause, she nodded. He hit record. She sat in the dim light, hands folded, eyes tired but clear. My name is Elena Moreau, she began, voice steady. I'm not a socialite. I'm not a CEO. I'm just a woman who loved a man, raised his son alone, and tried to keep our world from falling apart when he walked away. She took a breath. People are saying I'm unstable because I couldn't pay rent. But instability isn't poverty. It's a father who disappears. It's a child who flinches when the phone rings because he's afraid it's bad news again. Her voice cracked. Leo doesn't need a mansion. He needs to know he's safe, loved, seen. And for the first time in a long time, he's starting to believe that. She looked directly into the lens. If you're watching this, don't judge us by our worst days. Judge us by how we rise after them. Damien stopped recording. His eyes were wet. Before he could speak, Leo appeared in the doorway, rubbing his eyes. Mama? I had a dream. He shuffled over, climbed onto her lap without asking. I dreamed Daddy was gone again, and you were crying. Elena held him tight. It was just a dream, baby. But what if it's not? He whispered. What if the judge says you can't be my mama anymore? The question hung in the air, devastating in its innocence. Damien reached out, gently brushing Leo's hair. No judge gets to decide that, he said, voice thick, because you're our son, and nothing, not money, not lies, not courts, can change that. Leo looked between them, searching. Then, quietly, do you love Mama, Daddy? Damien didn't hesitate. I never stopped. Elena's breath caught. Leo nodded, as if that settled everything. Good, because I love you both. He yawned, heavy with sleep, and nestled into Elena's chest. As she carried him back to bed, Damien followed silently. He stood in the doorway, watching her tuck the blanket around Leo's small frame, kiss his forehead, whisper, always. When she turned, Damien was crying, quiet, unguarded tears. I missed so much, he whispered. His first steps, his first word, his nightmares, his laughter, and I can't get those back. No, Elena said softly, but you can be here for all the ones coming. He stepped closer, voice breaking. Will you let me? Really let me? Not just as a visitor, as part of this. She looked at him. Not the tycoon, not the ghost, but the man who'd shown up in sweatpants and stayed through the storm. Yes, she said, but only if you promise one thing. Anything. That you'll never let fear make your choices again. Not fear of failure. Not fear of looking weak. Not fear of loving us too much. He took her hand, pressed it to his chest, where his heart hammered against his ribs. I promise. Outside, the city slept. But in that small apartment, something new was being born. Not a perfect family, but a real one. And somewhere, in a penthouse stripped of power, Isabella Lauron stared at her phone, watching Elena's video go viral. Not as a scandal, but as an anthem for Leo was still asleep, blissfully unaware that today, a judge would decide whether his father could hold him without a stranger watching. Damien stood by the window, phone pressed to his ear, voice low and urgent. No, Marcus, I don't care what the board says. Freeze all assets tied to her name. Even the art collection. Even the yacht. If she's hiding money, we'll find it. He hung up and turned, his face drawn. She's liquidating everything. Selling off assets under fake LLCs. She's trying to vanish with the money and take the narrative with her. Elena looked up, eyes hollow. And us? What happens to us if the judge grants her motion? Damien crossed the room in 2 strides and knelt before her, taking her hands. Listen to me. No matter what that judge says today, Leo knows who his parents are. and I won't let a piece of paper erase that. But his voice trembled because they both knew the truth. Paperwork could lock doors. Paperwork could separate a father from his son in the cruelest way, not with walls, but with rules. Just then, Leo shuffled in, clutching his stuffed bear, eyes still heavy with sleep. Is today the day the judge decides if Daddy can stay? Elena's throat tightened. We're going to talk to someone who helps families, sweetheart. And we're going to tell the truth. Leo nodded solemnly. I'll tell them Daddy reads me stories now, and he cries when I hug him. Damien's breath hitched. He pulled Leo into a hug, pressing his face into his son's hair like he was memorizing the scent. At the courthouse, the air was cold, sterile, humming with quiet desperation. Other families sat in stiff chairs. Mothers clutching toddlers, fathers in wrinkled suits, teenagers staring at the floor like they'd already lost. Isabella arrived like a storm in stilettos. Impeccable black dress, hair perfect, expression serene. She didn't look at them, didn't need to. Her presence was a blade. Her lawyer, a sharp-eyed man in a charcoal suit, approached Damien with a thin smile. Mr. Voss, my client is willing to withdraw the motion. If you agree to full financial disclosure and relinquish all claims to joint custody. Damien's jaw tightened. Tell your client I'd rather lose everything than hand my son over to her manipulation. The lawyer's smile didn't waver. Then prepare for war. Inside the courtroom, the judge, a woman with silver hair and tired eyes, listened as Isabella's attorney laid out the case. The investigation, the eviction notice, the volatile living situation, the emotional toll on Leo. When it was Damien's turn, he stood, not as a billionaire, but as a father. Your Honor, he began, voice steady. I made terrible mistakes. I walked away from my family because I confused success with solitude. But I've spent the last weeks trying to earn back what I threw away. Not with money, but with presence, with honesty. He glanced at Leo, who sat between Elena and him, small hand gripping his father's sleeve. My son doesn't need a perfect father. He needs a present one. And I'm here, every day, rain or shine, scandal or silence. Then Elena stood. I'm not asking for pity, she said, voice clear despite the tremor in her hands. I'm asking for fairness. Isabella didn't just steal money. She stole time. Time I couldn't give back to my son. Time Damien can never reclaim. And now she's using the chaos she created to paint us as unfit. She looked at the judge, eyes blazing. If instability is grounds for custody loss, then punish the one who caused it, not the ones trying to heal from it. The judge studied them for a long moment. Then she turned to Isabella's attorney. Do you have evidence that Ms. Moreau is unfit beyond financial hardship? No, Your Honor, he admitted reluctantly. But the ongoing investigation is against Ms. Lauron, the judge interrupted. Not Mr. Voss, and certainly not Ms. Moreau. She sighed, removing her glasses. Children aren't pawns. They're not. Trophies to be won in ego wars. What this child needs is stability, not from wealth but from love. She looked at Leo. Young man, do you feel safe with your mother and father? Leo nodded without hesitation. Yes, ma'am. They read to me, and they say sorry when they're sad. A ripple of quiet laughter moved through the courtroom, soft, human. The judge turned back to the attorneys. I'm denying the motion for supervised visits. Full custody remains with Ms. Moreau, with generous, unsupervised visitation for Mr. Voss. However, she fixed Isabella with a stern look. Any further attempts to manipulate this process, through media, finances, or false claims, will result in contempt charges and possible loss of all visitation rights. Isabella's face went pale. As they stepped out of the courthouse into the afternoon light, Leo threw his arms around both of them. Does this mean Daddy can tuck me in tonight? Damien lifted him up, voice thick with emotion. Every night, buddy, for the rest of my life. Elena watched them, tears streaming silently down her face. Not from relief, but from the dawning realization that they just survived the storm. But as they walked toward the car, Damien's phone buzzed. A text from his legal team. Leo looked up, sensing the shift. Is the bad lady leaving? Damien knelt, forcing calm into his voice. Yes, buddy. And we need to make sure she doesn't take something very important. Elena's mind raced. If she disappears with that hard drive, she can leak doctored files, claim you hid assets, twist the narrative again. We'll be fighting shadows for years. And Leo, Damien's voice cracked. Every time he Googles his name, he'll see lies. Every school application, every job interview. Haunted by a scandal he didn't create. They stood on the sidewalk, the city humming around them. But inside, time had narrowed to a single, desperate point. We have to stop her, Elena said. How? Damien asked. Even if we call the authorities, by the time they move, she'll be airborne. Then Elena remembered. Your old security chief, Raphael. He still works for you, right? Damien's eyes lit with recognition. He's at the hangar right now, overseeing maintenance on the Gulf Stream. He knows her, Elena said urgently. He saw how she manipulated you. If anyone can delay her without tipping her off. Damien was already dialing. Raphael, listen carefully. 10 minutes later, they were in a cab speeding toward JFK. Leo buckled in the back seat, wide-eyed but quiet. Are we going on an airplane too, Daddy? No, sweetheart, Damien said, turning to look at him. We're stopping someone from taking something that belongs to you. To me, Leo asked. Yes, Elena said softly. Your truth. At the private terminal, chaos simmered beneath a veneer of calm. Raphael, a broad-shouldered man with kind eyes and a scar across his brow, met them at the gate, speaking low. She's on the tarmac, insisting on pre-flight checks herself. Arrogant to the end. Can you stall? Damien asked. I already did, Raphael said. Told her the transponder's faulty. FAA won't clear her without a full diagnostic. Buys us 20 minutes. Damien turned to Elena. Stay here with Leo. I'll go. No, she said, stepping forward. She needs to see us. Together. Not as enemies, but as the family she tried to destroy. He hesitated, then nodded. They walked onto the tarmac, the wind whipping Elena's hair across her face. There, at the foot of the jet stairs, stood Isabella. Suitcase in hand, sunglasses hiding her eyes, but her posture rigid with fury. Of course you followed me, she said, voice sharp. Like stray dogs. We're not here to fight, Elena said, stepping forward, Leo's small hand in hers. We're here to ask you to stop. Isabella laughed, but it was brittle. Stop? I'm finally free. No more pretending to care about a child who isn't mine. No more watching him look at you like you hung the moon. He's our son, Damien said, voice low and steady. Not a symbol, not a weapon. A little boy who cries when you're gone. Isabella's mask flickered. For a split second, Elena saw it, the loneliness beneath the venom. But it vanished as quickly as it came. I have nothing left to lose, Isabella snapped. So take your moral high ground. I'll be sipping champagne on a beach while you're still untangling my web. She turned to board the plane. Wait! Leo's voice rang out, clear and small. Isabella froze. Leo stepped forward, clutching his stuffed bear. You forgot something. She turned slowly. And what's that? My drawing, he said, holding up a crumpled piece of paper. I made one for you too. Isabella stared at it like it might burn her. Why would you do that? Because Mama says even sad people deserve kindness, Leo said simply. And you look sad. The wind stilled. Isabella reached out, almost against her will, and took the drawing. It showed 4 stick figures under a rainbow. 3 labeled Mama, Daddy, me. The 4th, smaller, unlabeled, but standing just outside the circle, looking in. Tears welled behind Isabella's sunglasses. For the first time, her voice broke. I never wanted to hurt you, Leo. Then don't, Damien said gently. Give us the drive. Walk away clean. Start over somewhere new, without lies. Isabella looked from Leo's earnest face to Elena's steady gaze, then to Damien, the man she'd loved or thought she had. With a trembling hand, she reached into her coat and pulled out a sleek black hard drive. "It's all there," she whispered. "Every transfer, every forgery, even the audio you'll see I spliced. You never said you didn't want to be his father. You said you were afraid you'd fail him." She handed it to Elena. "I kept it, because part of me wanted you to win." Then she turned, climbed the stairs, and disappeared into the jet. Minutes later, the engines roared to life. The plane taxied down the runway and lifted into the gray sky, vanishing into the clouds. Leo tugged Elena's hand. "Will she come back?" "I don't know," Elena said, squeezing his fingers. "But we'll be okay either way." Back in the cab, Damien held the hard drive like it was sacred. "This changes everything. The courts, the media, the future." E-face as he scrolled through spreadsheets that detailed his own betrayal. "She didn't just steal the support payments," he said, voice hoarse. "She funneled money into fake charities, shell organizations with names like Children's Future Fund. She used our son's name to launder money." Elena's stomach turned. She turned his innocence into a cover. Leo slept soundly in the next room, unaware that the woman who tried to erase him had used his very existence as camouflage. Damien rubbed his eyes, exhaustion etched into every line of his face. "I keep thinking, if I just listened to you that night, if I'd stayed instead of walking out, none of this would have happened." Elena reached across the table, her fingers brushing his. "You can't undo the past, Damien. But you're here now. That's what matters." He looked up, eyes raw. "Is it enough?" Before she could answer, his phone lit up, a call from his PR team. He answered on speaker, wary. "Damien, you need to see this," came the urgent voice. "Isabella just posted something. From Cyprus." Damien's blood ran cold. "What is it?" "A video. Raw. No edits. Just her, sitting on a balcony, talking for 20 minutes. She confesses everything, the theft, the leaks, the manipulation. She says she's sorry." Elena's breath caught. "Why would she do that?" "Because she's broken," Damien whispered. "And maybe she finally saw what she almost destroyed." They pulled up the video together. There she was, Isabella Laurent, stripped of makeup, hair loose, eyes red-rimmed. No designer dress, no calculated smile, just a woman staring into the camera like she was confessing to a ghost. "My name is Isabella Laurent," she began, voice trembling. "And I lied. To the press, to the courts, to Damien, to myself. I told myself I loved him, but I only loved what he represented: power, validation, a life where I was finally seen. When he chose his son over me, I couldn't bear it. So I tried to take everything from them, because I thought if I couldn't have him, no one should." She paused, tears falling freely now. "But then he drew me a picture. A little boy who didn't know I tried to steal his father, his home, his peace. And he gave me kindness anyway. And in that moment, I saw the monster I'd become." She looked directly into the lens. "Elena, thank you for raising him with love, even when I tried to poison it. Damien, forgive me for making you doubt your own heart. And Leo, I hope one day you understand that some people only learn how to love by watching others do it better." The video ended. Silence filled the apartment, thick, aching, sacred. Damien covered his face with his hands, shoulders shaking. Not with rage, with grief, for the years lost, the pain inflicted, the near miss of total ruin. Elena moved around the table and knelt beside him, resting her head against his knee. "She's not the villain anymore," she said softly. "Just another broken person trying to find her way back." He looked down at her, eyes glistening. "How are you not furious?" "Because anger won't heal him," she said, glancing toward Leo's room. "And I'm done letting anyone, her, you, even myself, steal his peace." Just then, Leo appeared in the doorway, rubbing his eyes. "Daddy, why are you crying?" Damien wiped his face quickly, forcing a smile. "Because someone finally told the truth, buddy." Leo padded over and climbed onto his lap. "Is the bad lady gone for good?" "I think she's just Lost, Damien said gently. But she's trying to find her way. Leo nodded as if that made perfect sense. Then he looked at Elena. Mama, can Daddy stay tonight? In the big chair, Elena met Damien's gaze. In it, she saw not the tycoon, not the ghost of her past, but a man humbled by love, reshaped by fatherhood, finally whole. Yes, she said, he can stay. Later, after Leo was asleep and the city had quieted, Damien stood at the window, the hard drive in his hand. I'm going to donate every stolen dollar to real children's charities, he said quietly, in Leo's name, and I'm stepping down as CEO. Not forever, just long enough to be present. To rebuild trust, not just with him, but with you. Elena joined him, arms crossed against the night chill. You don't have to give up everything to prove you've changed. I'm not giving it up, he said, turning to her. I'm choosing what matters. And in that moment, beneath the soft glow of streetlights and the weight of all they'd survived, something unspoken passed between them. Not a promise of two men in dark suits, badges glinting under the hallway light. Federal agents. Ms. Moreau? Mr. Voss? The taller one said, voice neutral. We need to speak with you regarding new evidence in the Lauron investigation. Damien stepped forward instantly, shielding Leo, who'd wandered out in his pajamas, clutching his bear. What evidence? The agent exchanged a glance with his partner. Ms. Lauron filed a sealed affidavit from Cyprus. In it, she claims, you, Mr. Voss, were complicit in the embezzlement, that the offshore accounts were your idea, to avoid taxes and hide assets from your divorce. Elena's breath caught. That's not true. Maybe, the agent said, unfazed, but she provided encrypted emails, dated before your separation, suggesting you discussed financial insulation strategies. We need to verify their authenticity. Until then, we're placing a temporary hold on all Voss Holdings accounts, including personal trusts tied to your son. Leo looked up, eyes wide with confusion. Does that mean no ice cream, Daddy? Damien knelt, forcing calm into his voice. Just for a little while, buddy. We'll figure it out. But Elena saw the truth in his eyes. This wasn't just about money. It was Isabella's last gambit, not to win, but to ensure no one walked away whole. After the agents left, Damien stood in the center of the living room, hands clenched, face pale. She's framing me. Those emails, they're forged. I never wrote them. I know, Elena said, stepping close, but the damage is already done. The press will spin it as billionaire couple's mutual betrayal. And Leo, he'll hear whispers at school. Your dad's a crook. Your mom was used. Damien ran a hand through his hair, voice breaking. I can't let him grow up thinking I chose money over him. Again. That afternoon, the headlines exploded. Voss scandal deepens. Ex-mistress accuses tycoon of fraud. Mother caught in crossfire. Child's trust fund frozen amid allegations. Is this family real? Or just another PR stunt? Elena scrolled through the comments, her stomach churning. Strangers dissecting their pain like it was entertainment. One post showed a photo of Leo from the gala, captioned, "Poster child for broken homes." She slammed the laptop shut. Leo looked up from his coloring book. Mama? Are people mad at us? No, baby, she said, kneeling beside him. They just don't know our story. Then tell them, he said simply. And in that moment, she knew what she had to do. That evening, as Rain returned to the city, Elena set up her phone on the kitchen table. Damien watched from the doorway, arms crossed, wary. What are you doing? Telling the truth, she said. Not as a victim, not as a saint, just as his mother. She hit record. The camera light blinked red. She took a deep breath. My name is Elena Moreau, she began, voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. And yes, I was left. Yes, I struggled. Yes, I cried in the shower so my son wouldn't hear me break. But none of that makes me weak. It makes me human. She glanced toward Leo's room, where he was playing quietly, blissfully unaware. People keep asking who's to blame for this mess. But the truth is, pain isn't a competition. Damien made choices. Isabella made choices. I made choices. But Leo, he didn't choose any of this. And yet, he's the one who teaches us how to be better. Her voice softened. He hugs the man who left him without hesitation. He draws pictures for the woman who tried to take his father away. He believes in kindness even when the world shows him cruelty. And if that's not strength, I don't know what is. She looked directly into the lens. So if you're watching this, don't judge us by our worst chapters. Judge us by how we're writing the next one. Together. She stopped recording. Damien stood in the doorway, tears streaming silently down his face. "You're incredible," he whispered. "No," she said, standing. "I'm just his mother." Just then, Leo ran in, holding up a new drawing. "Look, I made one for the whole world." It showed a big heart, with 3 figures inside. Mama, Daddy, me, and outside, smaller figures labeled Isabella, Judge, News People. All connected to the heart by thin, hopeful lines. "She's still part of our story," Leo said matter-of-factly. "Even when she's sad." Elena knelt, pulling him close. "You're right, baby. And that's what makes you the bravest person I know." Later that night, as the video began to spread, not as scandal, but as a quiet anthem of resilience, Damien received a call from his legal team. "The forensic team verified the emails," the lawyer said. "They're forgeries. Timestamps don't match server logs. We can prove it." Relief flooded Damien's chest, but it was short-lived. However, the lawyer continued, "The damage to your reputation is severe. The board is demanding your resignation. Permanently." Damien looked at Elena, who stood by the window, watching the rain. "What do you think?" he asked softly. She turned, eyes clear. "Do you want to be remembered as the man who built?" And Damien sat across from her, in the same chair he'd occupied the night he returned. But now he looked lighter, not because he'd lost everything, but because he'd finally laid down the weight of pretending to be someone he wasn't. "I called the board this morning," he said, voice quiet but steady. "Told them I'm stepping down permanently, not for damage control, not for optics, because I can't build a future for Leo while living in the shadow of a past I'm ashamed of." Elena stirred her coffee, watching the steam curl into the air. "What will you do?" He smiled, small, real. "I don't know yet. Maybe teach. Maybe start something small. Something that doesn't require a private jet or a security detail. Something where I can pick him up from school without a press release." Just then, Leo shuffled in, hair wild, eyes still heavy with sleep. He blinked at Damien, then at the newspaper on the table. "Did you quit your job, Daddy?" Damien pulled him onto his lap. "I did." "Why?" "Because I realized." "Something?" Damien said, pressing a kiss to the top of his son's head. "No building I ever designed, no company I ever ran, will ever matter as much as you." Leo was quiet for a long moment. Then, softly, "Does that mean you'll be home more?" "Every day," Damien promised. "Rain or shine. Sick days, snow days, even boring Tuesdays." Leo nodded, satisfied, and snuggled into his chest like it was the most natural place in the world to be. But Elena saw the flicker in Damien's eyes, the fear beneath the calm, the terror of starting over, of being seen not as a titan but as a man, flawed, human, trying. Later that afternoon, as Leo napped, Damien stood at the window, watching the street below. "The board's already naming a successor," he said without turning. "They'll erase my name from the buildings, rewrite the history, and maybe that's okay." Elena joined him, arms crossed. "You're not disappearing, Damien. You're becoming real." He finally looked at her, eyes glistening. "Do you think he'll remember this? The mess? The headlines? The way I failed him?" "He'll remember you came back," she said firmly. "Not perfectly, not heroically, but honestly. And that's what children need, not perfection. Presence." Damien swallowed hard. "I keep thinking about that night at the gala. When I saw you on the stairs, holding him, I didn't just see my past. I saw my future slipping away, and I was too proud to run after it." "You ran," Elena said softly. Just a little late. He turned to her then, really looked at her. Not with desire, not with guilt, but with a quiet reverence. "Thank you," he whispered, "for not giving up on us. For protecting him when I couldn't protect myself from my own ego." She didn't answer with words. She just reached out and took his hand, briefly, gently. And in that touch, years of pain and hope passed between them like a silent vow. That evening, as they sat on the couch, Leo between them, coloring a new picture of their family house, Damien's phone buzzed. A message from an old friend, a journalist. "The world's calling you a fool for walking away from billions. But I think you're the bravest man I know. Let me tell your real story, not the scandal. The redemption." Damien showed Elena the message. She read it, then looked at Leo, who was carefully drawing a door on their house. Big, wide open. "Say yes," she said. So he did. The next day, Damien sat in a quiet studio. No makeup, no script, just a man and a microphone. He spoke for an hour, about ambition, about loss, about the moment he realized his son's eyes held more truth than any boardroom ever could. "I thought success meant never needing anyone," he said, voice rough with emotion. "But real strength is admitting you were wrong. Real power is showing up, even when you're afraid you don't deserve to." When the interview aired, it didn't go viral for drama. It went viral for honesty. Strangers wrote in, "You gave me courage to fix my own family. I cried because my dad never came back, but I'll make sure my kids never doubt mine." And in their small apartment, Leo watched his father on the screen, then turned to him with wide eyes. "Daddy," he said, "you're famous for being good now." Damien pulled him close, voice thick. "Only because you taught me how." Outside, the city roared on, still chasing empires, still hungry for spectacle. But inside, in the quiet glow of a shared evening, a family sat together. No longer then came the letter. Not an email, not a text. A real envelope, thick paper, embossed with the seal of the family court. Elena opened it at the kitchen table while Leo built a tower of blocks and Damien washed dishes. His sleeves rolled up, his movements unhurried, finally at peace in the ordinary. Her breath caught. "What is it?" Damien asked, drying his hands. She handed him the letter without a word. He read it slowly, his expression shifting from calm to stunned. "It's a final custody order. The judge reviewed Isabella's affidavit, the forensic evidence, your testimony, my resignation, and she's closing the case." He looked up, eyes shining. "Full legal and physical custody remains with you, Elena, and I'm granted equal, unsupervised parental rights. No conditions, no oversight. It's permanent." Leo looked up from his blocks. "Does that mean Daddy lives with us now?" Damien knelt beside him, heart in his throat. "Not unless your mama says it's okay." All eyes turned to Elena. She didn't answer right away. She looked at Damien. Not the tycoon who'd once left her in the rain, but the man who now knew how Leo liked his pancakes, with banana slices, never syrup, who stayed up late researching pediatric sleep schedules, who cried quietly in the hallway when Leo called him hero after fixing a broken toy. She looked at Leo, his hopeful eyes, his small hand reaching for his father's. And she looked at herself, the woman who'd once believed love meant holding on tightly, but had learned that sometimes love means opening the door. "No," she said softly. Damien's face fell. "But not because I don't trust you," she added quickly, stepping closer. "Because I want you to choose this, not out of guilt, not out of obligation, but because you truly want to build a life here, with us, as equals." She took a breath, her voice trembling with honesty. "I'm not asking you to move in. I'm asking you to keep showing up, day after day, not as the man who left, but as the father you're becoming." Damien's eyes filled with tears. He reached for her hand, not to pull her close, but to hold it like something precious. "I choose you," he said,